Hey guys, welcome to our cold foam masterclass. I'm Lee Hyde, senior beverage expert at MONIN, and today we're going to be talking all things cold foam. So what is cold foam? Well, it's this delicious looking layer on top of this caramelized coffee that I've got, and essentially it's an alternative to using whipped cream. So a couple of basics about cold foam. It's based on skimmed milk. So this is key. It needs to be low fat, high protein, which is perfect. That's what skimmed milk does. And not only is this trendier, cooler, and tastier than whipped cream, it's actually lower calories as well. Okay, so with the cold foam, we can use this on lots of different types of applications. So much like whipped cream. So perfect for iced, but works really well on hot drinks as well. And there's lots of different ways we can make it. So it depends whether you're making it at home, which this little wizard does really well, or if you're making it in your venue, if you have a coffee shop or a bar, a blender or a spindle mixer works really well too. And another great thing with cold foam, so whipped cream out of a can is great, but it is quite high fat and calorie content. And as we said, there is lower calories on this, but you can also flavor it, color it. You can add extra textures to it as well. So there's a lot of possibilities. Okay, so we're going to show you in a moment a few different ways of how you can make it, along with some really tasty beverage applications too. All right, so first up, we're going to make one of my personal favorites, a Banoffee iced coffee. So first up, we're going to make the iced coffee part. So we fill the glass with ice. Then we start with the milk. To about there. We'll put the recipe on the video for you. And then we're going to add the MONIN cold brew. Great alternative to using fresh espresso. Makes delicious iced coffees. And of course we need the flavor part. So we're going to do Banoffee, which is a combination of banana and caramel. It gives you that really nice Banoffee flavor. So caramel first. So we want 10 mils of that. And then 10 mils of the banana. There we go. And that leaves us just enough room to top it off with the cold foam, which is what we'll move on to next. Okay, so set the iced coffee aside. And for this one, I'm going to use this wonderful Hamilton Beach blender. And it comes with these separate cold foam jugs. Okay, so you need to make sure it's the specific cold foam jug. And you can see it's got this circular disc inside rather than the standard blades that you would normally get. And we're going to start with the skimmed milk. So remember, it's really important that it's skimmed milk because you really need that high protein, low fat for this to work. So for the batch we're going to make, it needs 150 mils of skimmed milk. And then we're going to add 30 mils of syrup. Okay, but with this one, because we're using two different kinds of syrup, we have to get the balance right. If you do half and half, you really get a lot of banana. So I'm going to do 10 mils of the banana syrup and then 20 mils of the caramel. So that's going to give us a nice balance between the banana and the ice. All right, so yeah, you want to be working towards that 5-to-1 ratio, 5 parts milk, 1 part syrup. And that's it, we're good to go. Now, as long as your skimmed milk is cold from the fridge, this should work perfectly. You can, a nice little top tip is add 1 cube of ice, just to help the process along in the blender. And here I've got number 5 as my frothing setting, so I just press number 5. All right, we're gonna get cold foam. Be right back with you. And there we go. Our cold foam should be done. Look at that. So I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera, but you've got a nice, thick, dense foam with this shiny sheen on top, and that's perfect. So we're just going to layer that on top of the drink. There we go. And that's our Banoffee foam. Now that batch that I made up, it's good for 4 to 5 portions, which means that each portion of the flavored cold foam, you're looking at somewhere between 30 and 40 calories. Now the same for a portion of whipped cream on top of there, you're looking at somewhere 60 to 80 calories. Okay, and this is a flavoured version, whereas the whipped cream is plain. So you can have a lot more going on with the cold foam. But essentially, that is it. A Banoffee iced coffee with Banoffee cold foam. Enjoy. Okay, so next up, we're going to do a Tiramisu Mocha with a Tiramisu cold foam on top. Now, tiramisu has been one of the biggest flavours of the summer, really on trend, seeing it popping up all over the place, and it's a really delicious one too. So this one is going to show in a hot drink, but one thing to mention as well is we got a little bit cold foam wild here, and we tried loads of different flavours, and surprisingly most of the flavours work really well with the cold foam. If it's too highly acidic, like a lemon syrup didn't work particularly well, then it's not gonna work. But even the kiwi syrup worked, which was quite an interesting one. Okay, so let's get it to it. We're gonna make the mocha first. So here's 2 espressos I prepared earlier, and some steamed milk with chocolate. About that. Okay, now of course we will add the tiramisu syrup to the drink as well. For this I'm going to use 15 ml. You can use 20 if you prefer it a little sweeter. But with the chocolate powder in there as well, I think we'll be okay. Alright, so that's our tiramisu mocha. Now for the cold foam. So we used the blender last time. This time we are going to use a little battery operated whipper. So we're going to do a slightly smaller batch with this one. So I'm going to do 100 mils of the skimmed milk. And then we're going to add 20 mils of syrup, just to stick to that 5:1 ratio. And you want a vessel that's kind of tall so that the milk doesn't froth out everywhere. But you want it to be quite flat as well. So this glass works perfectly. So there's our 20 mils of tiramisu syrup going in. And then it's just a case of whipping it up. So this one comes with 3 settings. We're going to start with the lowest setting, just to get it going. And you're probably looking at somewhere 30 to 40 seconds for this to work. So we'll do maybe half that time on low setting, and then about halfway through we'll switch up to the middle setting. Okay, so once you see the foam has doubled or even more than doubled in size, then we know it's ready. What I'm going to do with this one is to spoon it on, just to make sure we get that good stuff from the top. So even though that we're using the little hand blender, this has worked really well. You can see that nice foam. And of course, with this being tiramisu, we're going to have to finish it with a nice heavy dusting of cocoa powder on top. That's going to be delicious. So there we go. So there's our heavy dusting of chocolate powder. And that is our tiramisu mocha, tiramisu cold foam. Okay, so there you have it. We've shown 2 different applications using the cold foam. One was the iced coffee, one was the hot mocha. But there are so many more out there that you can play around with, from iced matchas to chai to even cocktails. And some of the other things you can do with the cold foam I might have touched on at the start, but you can add colors to them. So preferably natural colors, so a little touch of beetroot powder or dragon fruit powder, and you're going to get a nice bright red or pink colored cold foam. You can also add different textures into it. We enjoy making one which is coconut with some desiccated coconut pieces thrown in. But you can also add in some chocolate powder or biscuit crumb. You really can get quite creative with it. So we'd love to see what you guys are thinking with this. Play around with some flavors. Tell us what your favorites are. And make sure you comment below with that. And that's it from us. Cheers.